Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, we're continuing our 5 series here on RealTime Fantasy Sports, and for today, I'm doing 5 fades for the upcoming fantasy baseball season. These are 5 guys I'm just not very big on, and I'm not going to be taking in most of my baseball drafts. So I thought it would be a good time to do that, especially with so many of you in draft season right now. Remember, you can get into all sorts of drafts here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. We have all different options, different price points, big contests, small contests, best ball contests, you name it. We have it here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Go to rtsports.com, sign up for a draft today. And I'm going to be upfront with you about these fades. These are not the high-end draft picks for this year, but more so middle to later round guys. But a lot of drafts are won at this point of the draft. At that point of the draft. So I think it's important to talk about some guys I'm just not very big on, even if they're not the high-end names that a lot of people think of come draft day, but they're definitely guys that are getting drafted in all leagues and have value come draft day. So these are guys that I am fading for the coming season. The first one is Red Sox catcher Connor Wong. So he hit 280 last year. He had a really good season, 13 home runs, 8 stolen bases, but his expected batting average was just 231, which was the second biggest difference in baseball compared to expected batting average and regular batting average. He hit 235 the previous season, so I think that's more the norm for him. He was 11th in percentile for average exit velocity, 20th percentile for hard hit percentage, 24th percentile for expected batting average. Nearly every key metric batting statistic was below average for Wong last year in a season that he hit 280 with 13 home runs and 8 stolen bases. So that's probably a ceiling. A lot of people are taking him as a number 2 catcher. They have high hopes for him, but I just wouldn't have my expectations too high for Wong. I think his numbers are going to come back down to earth this year. My next fade is Carlos Correa, shortstop for the Twins. I think a lot of people think he has great value right now. 226 ADP. He hit 310 last year with 14 home runs. He played just 86 games, though. He has played less than 90 games, 3 of 6 seasons. He has a tough time staying healthy. His expected batting average last year was 278, which is 62 points lower than the average that he did hit, which was 310. And he hasn't stolen a base since 2019. His expected batting average is below 280 each of the last 3 seasons. So I just think Correa is going to be a little bit of a mediocre play this year. Also, his power numbers aren't great, less than 20 home runs, 2 straight seasons. So I think if you're looking for ho-hum numbers across the board, a guy that's hurt a lot, take a chance on Correa, but I think if there's a lot better options out there for this year. I'm not buying the hype for his draft position of 226 ADP. I know a lot of people are excited about that. I'm just staying away from Correa, even at that price. My next fade is Tanner Houck of the Red Sox, another Red Sox. So that's a starting pitcher. He had a really good ERA last year, 3.12 ERA, 1.14 whip as well. But he had a losing record, struck out 154 and 178 and 2/3 innings. So those aren't great numbers there. And also his expected ERA was 4.11, which is nearly a point higher than what he finished with. And his overall metrics, not great. 32nd percentile for strikeout percentage, 24th percentile for hard hit percentage, 24th percentile for expected batting average. And he has more to compete with in a rotation this year. I'm just not sure Houck is going to have the season many expect. That lineup's going to be better in Boston this year. They could win a lot more games. I'm not buying Houck being a big-time fantasy producer, though. I'm worried about those underlying numbers for him going forward. My next fade for this year is Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals. The third baseman's been a fantasy darling for years, but he has really regressed in recent seasons. He had one of the worst barrel percentages in baseball last year, 6th percentile for barrel percentage. So he was not barreling the ball up at all. Also was 12th 12th percentile for hard hit percentage. So he was not hitting the ball hard, not barreling it up. His bat speed was down too, which is a concern for me. 28th percentile for bat speed compared to 39th percentile the season before. So that's a pretty good drop. Just not good for him moving forward, in my opinion, especially at age 34. If he gets traded, that could be a positive for him to see a little bit of a push in his numbers, moving to a new team, maybe get a fresh start. But I'm just out on Arenado this year. I just don't think he's going to have a big rebound season. and he has a pretty cheap price as well, 219 ADP. So a lot of people are excited about that, but I'm still not buying Nolan Arenado this year. I think he's going to have another pretty mediocre number at a power position. All right, my last fade is Royals pitcher Michael Lorenzen. So Lorenzen played with the Rangers and Royals last year. He had a great year with the Royals after he was traded there. Really good numbers overall as well. 3.31 ERA in 24 starts, won 7 games. His ERA was under 2 with the Royals, but his expected ERA for the season was 4.59. Not good. 13th percentile in strikeout percentage, 15th percentile in walk percentage. So he didn't strike people out, and he walked a lot, and his ERA should have been a lot higher. That's a concern for me. He has control issues, doesn't strike out many, so I just don't think it bodes well for Lorenzen going forward. And I'm just staying away from him, even with his good numbers in Kansas City to end last season. He should have a spot in that rotation, but I just don't think it's going to produce great things for fantasy owners. All right, those are 5 fades for the coming fantasy baseball season. Good luck to you in all those upcoming drafts. I hope you have a lot of success. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.